This program is brought to you by the Kentucky Small Business Development Center in Louisville. We provide the professional expertise, tools, and information necessary to help you make sound business decisions. Thank you to the U.S. Small Business Administration for co-sponsoring our program and to our host organization, the University of Kentucky. Contact us at 502-625-0123 to get started.
Welcome, everybody. We're here on a great Tuesday, a little rainy Tuesday, for our next edition of Toolkit Tuesday. One great way to grow your business is to think outside the box and really think about growing your business in an international way and making the world your customer. And that can be a little bit daunting, but a great way to do that is to have a little bit of help. And today we're joined by Mary NeCamp, who is the program manager of the State Trade Expansion Program. Mary and her team is a great resource to help you kind of understand what these international business opportunities are. And the STEP program actually will help fund your expansion into and dipping your toe in the water into international. Isn't that right, Mary?
That's correct. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here today to talk to you about the STEP grant, and STEP is the acronym for State Trade Expansion Program. I'm happy to be with you. I feel like I have one of the best jobs at the cabinet because I get to give away money. And that's a pretty exciting thing to come to work for every day and to make other people's days. I've been at the Cabinet for Economic Development for almost 20 years. And when I first started out, I started out in the Office of Small and Minority Business, which is now the Kentucky Innovation. But when I worked in the Office of Small and Minority Business, we would get calls regularly from small businesses or people who wanted to start a small business. And they would always ask, is there a grant to start my small business? And to the best of my knowledge, we've never come up with a grant to start a small business, but this is the next best thing. If you already have a small business, this is the best way you can grow that small business through exporting. And I'll get into that a little bit more here in a couple of minutes, but that's the crux of it. May is World Trade Month. So amongst other things that are going on in May, we can celebrate World Trade Month. And the U.S. Commercial Service is offering a whole host of webinars just this week. So I invite you to go to www.trade.gov and see what webinars you might be interested in. I was looking at it yesterday and passed some of these webinar information registration links to some of our web or STEP participants and some companies that might be interested in exporting. And I saw that there were probably over 10 free ones. And if you're already enrolled in STEP, then the webinars by the U.S. Commercial Service would be reimbursable. And I noticed some topics, some subjects that were commonplace for what we receive requests for reimbursements on, things like compliance. And so again, I just encourage you to visit www.trade.gov, and the U.S. Commercial Service is celebrating by giving away free webinars, and that's nice. So as I just mentioned, that small businesses can grow by exporting. So the International Trade Association says that exporters enjoy higher productivity. They have more revenue than non-exporting plants, and they enjoy a stronger workforce. They're more skilled and productive, and they're able to pay their employees higher wages because they're growing and because they're so stable. Exporters grow faster and they become more innovative. Whether they're dealing in services or manufacturing, they are getting higher revenues. And again, they're able to be more stable and to withstand the swings of the economies. And something else is that about 95% of consumers and 84% of spending power resides outside the US. So that's another reason why you would want to go into a foreign market with your business. So having said that, are you ready to export? And you must be, or you wouldn't be here today listening to this webinar. So anyway, the services and the resources through the STEP grant can propel you on your way. And this is the best part. STEP offers 100% reimbursement to cover your export expenses. And what I mean by that is first you must apply to get into the STEP program, but once you're accepted, then you are allowed to go out and do these different types of export development activities, submit a reimbursement request with your receipts to me, and then we turn around and the state will reimburse you 100% for an eligible activity. So since over 2011, over 230 Kentucky small businesses have utilized STEP funds, directly receiving over $2.2 million in reimbursements. You can go international with the STEP funds, and who can the STEP funds help? That's any eligible Kentucky-based small business interested in exporting products and services internationally and becoming more globally competitive. STEP encourages women-owned businesses, rural enterprises, socially and economically disadvantaged, veteran or service-disabled businesses, veteran businesses to apply for STEP funding. So many of you are saying, what about my business? Would my business be an eligible, what the SBA refers to as an ESBC, eligible small business concern for Kentucky STEP? So to be eligible, here are just a couple of the key criteria that we use to determine that. First off, the company must be based, headquartered, or controlled in Kentucky. They must have been in business for at least 1 year. And you can use the SBA size standards tool at this link to measure your business to see if it's generally a small business. Now, what I have noticed when I've gone in there and looked is a manufacturing company, for instance, can have several hundred employees and still be considered a small business. You would have to enter your NAICS in order to get to the next step, but that's easy to do, again, at this link. The other thing is if you're a business that offers services, sometimes services you can do things with those, export those. And what I've noticed about that is they want to know like the average of revenue for the past 3 years. So that's something to have conveniently handy. I guess an example might be an engineering firm. So no problems at all with this. I can't get over how easy the STEP program is to apply for it. And if you have any questions, you can ask me and I'll be happy to help you. So now we're going to get into the eligible expenses and what might a company be able to do and get reimbursed for. So one of our, we'll start here at the top, participation in foreign trade missions. And I think Janet was going to put an attachment in the chat box, and this is going to give the detail, the attachment is going to give the details for all of these. So you can just kind of listen and like look at your handout later, I suppose is what I'm trying to say. So you can participate in foreign trade missions, and those would be hosted by the Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development. A subscription to services provided by our Kentucky Export Initiatives partners through the U.S. Department of Commerce. And an example of those subscriptions would be export research tool used to assist STEP clients with their market research, fees for the U.S. Department of Commerce export services, including things like market research and vetting of a foreign business, website review, services from a local American Chamber of Commerce, the Gold Key Business Matchmaking Service, single company promotions, and international partner searches. And so how that works is you would basically use the services of the U.S. Department of Commerce, and they would help you by setting up businesses in other countries that would be buyers for your products or your services. So that's very worthwhile. The next one. So backing up here a minute on this participation in foreign trade missions. Not only would that be a foreign trade mission that would be led by the Cabinet for Economic Development, that would also include shipping of samples. And there's a $4,000 cap on shipping your samples to another country, if that gives you any idea of what this is willing to cover. Also things like transportation costs, such as the airfare and the ground transportation, lodging, that's covered, and also some translation services. So that kind of dovetails here with the trade show exhibition and the participation in the foreign trade missions. Those both will oftentimes involve travel internationally, and we can reimburse you for your lodging and your plane fare. We can reimburse you for your registration fees for the trade show. So it's just extremely generous. So you can see why it's a fun job. The payment of the website fees, this pertains to the overall cost of a ESBC to build their e-commerce platform. And that could include translation of a website, which once you have your website established and you're able to do exporting, I think that the translation of a website fee kind of works overnight, so to speak, when someone on the other side of the world can be reviewing your website and it's in their language. And the reason why translation of a website would be covered is because so many times that there are technical words and technical language that just don't translate well with Google. And so that's why companies often find it best to hire a translation company to take care of their website. The website fees would also cover something like security and web store setup and maintenance. That would be something like Amazon services, Walmart Marketplace, Alibaba, and Flipkart. I think that, and anything to process payments and orders online. So there is like an e-commerce cap from the SBA of $10,000 that we can reimburse for this activity. So design of marketing media, there's a cap of $8,000 per grant cycle per company for this. That covers a lot too. It covers advertising. It even covers things like billboards, newspapers, other print media, online and digital advertising. So a lot there. Again, with the trade show exhibition, we can cover your lodging and your travel and your registration for the trade show. Again, shipping the samples capped at $4,000. And that doesn't necessarily have to be tied to a trade show. If you have a company in another country that's wanting your products and you need to ship that sample, that's a possibility too. Let's see what else. All right. So participating in the training workshops, and this includes KEI partners, and that's Kentucky Export Initiative partners. And our partners are the agencies like the Kentucky Small Business Development Center, who's hosting us today, and also the World Trade Center, Advantage Kentucky Alliance, and the U.S. Commercial Service. So any of these agencies that are putting on training workshops, and they have to be true training workshops to get you, especially like the new to exporting businesses, to put you in a pipeline so you're learning about how to export. And that's like, for instance, the World Trade the World Trade Center host an international trade certification program every year in March, and that would be covered by this training workshops category. This is the category where we would also put compliance, and I got to put in a plug for Exportec through the Advantage Kentucky Alliance. They can help you through several weeks to learn how to export, and they can work with you one-on-one, what's best for your business. Oh yes, and the Women-Owned Business Center, or the Women Business Centers and SCORE would also be a couple of agencies that would be hosting training workshops. So reverse trade missions would be when representatives from other companies in other countries would come to Kentucky, and we would host them here. They would come on their own. They would not be reimbursed for their travel or that sort of thing. But if the Kentucky companies wanted to meet with them, the Cabinet for Economic Development would host the place to have that reverse trade mission. A procurement of consultancy services. The SBA requires that you use the U.S. Department of Commerce first for services, but if there's some service that isn't covered by them, then the SBA would look at covering that. And foreign market sales trips. So again, that's like going to another country to meet one-on-one with a business that might be able to buy your products. We have a few testimonials I've included. Alejandro Ramirez, he's the owner of Universal Spartan in Vine Grove, Kentucky. You can read this for yourself, but he's received multiple STEP grants, and he's also used the services through the U.S. Commercial Service, and it's helped him a great deal. Lynette Freitag, the president of Feltloom in Sharpsburg, Kentucky. Lynette has benefited from STEP through the RAISE program. It's also hosted by the U.S. Commercial Service. Sally Lawler, owner of Valley Vista Ski Products, doing business as Ski Scooties in Louisville, has been very successful through the use of the STEP grant. And Amy Matthews, the CEO of Creek Valley in Lexington, has found STEP to be very helpful to her too, for reimbursement of the email service and the web hosting. So again, it's a simple process for small businesses to get accepted into STEP and then get 100% reimbursed. The first thing to do is to complete the STEP grant application and the export readiness assessment forms. Those are simple forms. They ask you for information that you probably know right off the top of your head. And then you would receive a STEP award notification. Then you spend your STEP funds, and again, watching for the eligible expenses and submit the questions to me if you're not sure about the activity. You complete your reimbursement request and activity survey forms and turn in your receipts and invoices to me. And then you receive an email that your reimbursement has been processed and dispersed. And it's pretty easy. So I wanted to remind you that Kentucky is globally connected through our 3 worldwide air cargo hubs, UPS, DHL, and Amazon. We're ranked 2nd in the nation in total air cargo. That's how much work we're doing. There are 6 commercial airports, 2 international, and 60 regional. There are 10 interstates and 10 state parkways, so plenty of roadways for our trucks to get back and forth. There's plenty miles of rail track, 2,760 to be exact. And also we have 2,000 miles of navigable waterways, and the river ports are in development right now, a couple of them anyway, but the rest are existing, of course. So there are plenty of ways to get the product out. Kentucky has the global logistics capacity. Be sure your products are on the plane. So here we go. Look at all of this: DHL, FedEx, UPS Worldport, and Amazon Air Hub. So that was pretty much everything in a nutshell. Went rather quick, but does What kind of questions do you have? Did I leave something out that you might be interested in knowing more about?
Let's see here. All right. So let's see. That was great. So if you have any questions out there, if you want to put them in the chat or the Q&A, and we'll go ahead and
I will say that we are currently working on our step year 8, and the funds for step year 8 are due to expire at the end of September of 2021. And at that time, we'll start using the funds for year 9, and year 9 will carry us through to 2022, September of 2022. So
let's see. So you must have done a great job today, because no one's really having any questions today. So really, Mary, what would you tell somebody if somebody's just kind of thinking about, but they're just unsure whether they even should look into exporting and applying for a STEP grant? I mean,
well, I would say that you should use the resources around you and decide if this is something that you're ready for. You can always touch base with one of the small business development centers and get some counseling or assistance there. You can reach out to the World Trade Center. You can reach out to the United States Commercial Service. Just kind of use your resources and ask around. And it does not cost money to apply for the STEP grant. And again, through the STEP grant, you're eligible to get reimbursed for your training. So maybe it's one of those things where you would apply for the STEP grant and feel like you're on solid footing with your business and you're ready to export. And then you go and take a whole host of educational seminars through the World Trade Center or the U.S. Commercial Service. And maybe through that process, you learn that maybe you're not where you thought you would be. Well, at least you would get reimbursed for all the training you just did.
Yeah.
And nobody can ever take away your education. So maybe now's not the time, but it could be in the future.
Yeah. So you, I know you talked about this, but where do people go to apply?
You can email me at here at mary.necamp@ky.gov, and I can send you an application, or you can go out to the Cabinet for Economic Development's website and find the link there. It's probably quicker if you just go ahead and email me.
Yeah. Let's see, so Mustafa wants to know, he says, the manufacturer is in California. Can the reimbursement is done for documents belonging to exports like embassies, legalizations? That's quite confusing. I'm not sure. Mustafa, maybe
I don't see the question. So
yeah. Mustafa, maybe you can clarify that a little bit. Let me read it here. He says, good day. Thank you for the support. The manufacturer is in California. Can the reimbursement is done for documents belonging to exports like embassies, legalizations? The manufacturer is in California, not in Maryland. Not in Kentucky. Not in Kentucky. There we go. Sorry.
Well, the business has to be headquartered or controlled in Kentucky. So maybe those products that you're exporting are exported from Kentucky, but maybe they're somehow made in California. I can't imagine what the scenario is exactly. But that's the bottom line, is it has to be controlled or headquartered in Kentucky.
Yeah. Yeah, because
we're trying to promote Kentucky exports and help Kentucky businesses. And by the way, there is I mean, maybe that's not the case. Maybe your business isn't headquartered or controlled in Kentucky. And if
Mhm.
it's not, I have colleagues and counterparts in every other state in the United States. So,
Mhm.
you know, go to your state, go to California, go to Maryland and talk to their STEP program managers,
Yeah.
and they can help you.
So Liz has a great question. So what if you have a service-based business? Can you apply?
Yes, you can. If you have a service-based business, you can apply. I gave an example of engineering,
Mhm.
and so yeah, it's a matter of having US content in your products and your US services. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah. Is it easier to export? I guess it's easier to export product than it is to be a service-based business. I mean, it's.
I cannot say for certain, but I would I would imagine that with the help of the US commercial service, it's all possible.
You can find out, right? That's what it's all. That's what it's all about. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions. Unless someone wants to pop something, I'll give you a couple seconds. If you have a question, a burning question, now's your chance to get it in. So Mary, on average, how many companies get STEP grants in the course of a year?
Well, it varies because some are repeat companies
Mhm.
from year to year. So we've had some that have been enrolled in STEP all the way back to 2011. Of course, COVID kind of put a damper on things.
Yep.
I've found that most of our STEP recipients enjoy STEP because of the international travel reimbursement to
Mhm.
trade shows. You know, that's expensive. Anytime you're putting on a trade show in another country, you've got the expenses of the travel, the lodging,
Yeah.
the trade show itself, and to be reimbursed for all of that.
Yeah. And that
is,
takes a lot of risk out of it too, doesn't it? Takes all the risk out.
It does. Mhm.
Yeah.
So, but I've been in this position since January of this year, and I've seen quite a few companies enroll, and everybody's hopeful and optimistic with the vaccinations that have come out and looking forward to traveling, and have gotten several conversations going with people about traveling. So,
Yeah.
but having said that, you need to look at this handout. It's just amazing to me, all of the details that are on there of expenses and activities that are covered by the STEP grant.
Yeah. Well, Mary, this has been great. As always, you're such a resource of information that I think if you have a product that you think the world would be interested in, why not reach out to Mary and see what you can do. You can't go wrong.
Thank you very much for hosting. I really appreciate it, and appreciate all that the Kentucky Small Business Development Center does as one of the Cabinet for Economic Development's partners through the Kentucky Export Initiative. So thanks again.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today for another Toolkit Tuesday, and we'll see you in a couple more weeks when we have Google coming on board to talk about Googling your business. So hope to see you then. And thanks for coming today. Mary, thank you as always. We'll be talking soon.
Thank you. Yeah, have a great World Trade Month.
Goodbye. Thank you, Mary. You too.